Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start with concave and convex polygon in detail. Last class we have seen some of the concave and convex polygon, how it's doing and all, and how to split the polygons, all these things. So we have some kind of the methods which we are going to use to split any kind of your polygons. Okay. So I told you that when we are going to say that the polygon is a concave, if the interior angles will be more than 180 degree, then you can say that the polygon is a concave polygon. Okay. So you can see one diagram over here. Here, this is already a concave polygon. So now I want to split the concave polygon. Okay. So for the timing, just ignore this dotted line. Okay. Because as we have gone through the splitting process, so that's the reason this line comes. Otherwise, you have to start with a 0, 1, and like this 2. This point will be 2, 3. Then here this side will be your x-axis and this side will be your y-axis. So your polygon has to join over here 3 in y-axis. So this is your 1, 2, 3. That's just a division. Okay. We have here edge vectors, some around 6 edge vectors: E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, and E6. Okay. So now we are going to see how we are going to split a concave polygon. Remember one thing, in your question paper, the question on splitting the concave polygon will be like a theoretical question. Okay. So what you are going to do is, when you are writing the answer, your answer should be a kind of your theoretical, like theorems, how we are writing, it should be in that way. So you have to add the theory part, you have to add some of the equations, and directly you are going to write the answers. Okay. Then only you are going to get the marks. So this kind of question, you can get some 4 or 5 marks of question. Okay. Any kind of diagram, whatever will be given, you are going to write it. So you have to write, let's go for the x-axis, y-axis, the divisions of x-axis and y-axis for unit vectors like 1. Then I have some edge vectors, this many edge vectors, vertices I have, and I'm going to use the vector methods to solve this polygon. Okay. Now you can see here. So from the previous polygon, what we have seen, we have some edge vectors. Okay. And here you can see I have only x-axis and y-axis. As I don't have any z-axis, so z-axis will be 0. Okay. So the z component is 0 because all edges are in xy plane. As everything is in your xy plane, so z component, you are going to keep it as 0. So here you can see I have all the vertexes, edge vectors I have written, and everywhere the z component is 0 because it will specify your x, y, and z coordinates, and the last coordinate values will be 0. Now here we have to write the values. How we got these values? We have to do the cross products of two successive edge vectors. Okay. And we have the formulas where it has to be perpendicular towards your xy plane. Then you are going to find out your z component. So this is the formula you have to apply, and you are going to write down the values. Now if I'll do the cross product, you can see some of the values. Wherever the values will come as your negative, that time you are going to split along with your line. You can see the cross product of your E2 and E3, it became negative. That's the reason here only you are going to split the polygon. Okay. So you have to do the cross product by using these values. And once you will get your answer, if you are finding out any of the component is having negative, here you can see, I'll just highlight it, E2 and E3 values, you got it as negative after your cross multiplication. So as it is negative, you are going to split it along with your line. Okay, line vector. Fine. So that is a way of doing. So this much is only the answer, but while writing down, you have to write it in a theory, and you are going to do the cross product and write. So the formula is already here. Okay. So this is the answer of your this question. Suppose if you want to go for your line equation E2, this is just an extra thing, whatever I'm saying you, then how you're going to find out your line equation of edge vectors? You have to go to your slope and y-intercept. These formulas I have already told you in the beginning. So the line equation will be y equals to mx plus b. So m will be equals to, you have to find out, this is your end of value of your y coordinate and the original or starting point, divided by x end minus x0. Okay, so you are going to find out the slope value, and you have this b value which is a constant. If b will be here, then just take it out, this mx0 to that side, and put it as your starting point. So x0 comma y0. So these all are the values to calculate your line equations of each of the edges. So now I'm just going to explain you how you have done these cross products, okay, and how we are going to split it. So for this, let me open one Word file. I'll just copy this image so that I can do it properly. So I have just opened it. Okay, so this is my diagram. Okay, so I'm just going to explain you in detail how you are going to do it. Fine. So this is our question. So here you can see. Okay, so now here first thing is I have to find out the value of my e1, e2, all the h. Okay, so now the first one is my e. I'll just make it as bigger one so that you can see it properly. Okay, so this is my E1. I'm just going to write it for E1. Okay, so now I have to find out for the E1 value. You see here the E1 is in x-axis. I have told you that we are going to consider the axis. So this is my x-axis and this one will be my y-axis. Okay, and it has been separated by your 1 unit vectors. Okay, this side also and this side also. So this is 3 units and this side also 3 units. So we are going to use that units for this writing the products. Okay, so now for the E1 you can see I have gone towards my x-axis. So here I have to write about the axis. Okay, so if I want to write about the axis, then what I have to do, I have to write all the 3 axis point. As I'm moving from in x-axis, so my x-axis value will be 1 and the other values will be 0. Okay, so this is the coordinate values of my E1. So now I'll just copy and paste over here so that it will be easy for me. Now I just want to find out for E2 value. Okay, so now how I'm going to find out the E2 one? E2, so here you just see, I'll just remove this. E2, it has gone to upward. Okay, so if I want to draw this, then you can see I'm just going towards like this and then I have gone towards up. Okay, so now I have gone to x-axis and again I have gone to y-axis. I have not come from the y2 down. Okay, you can see this is my arrow mark and then I have gone to up. Okay, uh, yes. Okay, so that is the reason what I will do. I will just write it down here that I have gone towards x-axis, then I have moved towards y-axis and I have not moved towards z-axis. So it will be 0 because everything is in xy plane. So now again what I'm going to do, I have to write about the E3. So now how I will write about the E3? For E3 you can see that where I have gone, so I have gone down. Can you see here? So I have gone from here to here down, right? So what I'm going to do is I have to write here as I have gone down towards my y-axis. So here the values of my coordinate values will be, but here to here I have moved. Okay, so from here to here I'm moving. So my x-axis will be positive and my y-axis will be negative because as I'm moving down to this, and as usual my z-axis will be 0. Okay, now let's see my E4. So what will be my E4 value? So here you can see my E4, I'm just crossing it 3 units. Okay, so as I'm crossing to 3 units towards my y-axis, so my x value will be 0, y value will be 3, and as it is going in the same direction, it will be positive and my z-axis will be 0. Next one for my E5. So what I'm going to do, I'll just write down here E5. So here E5 also you can see it has just gone to your all the three, but it is just opposite of my x-axis. As it is opposite of my x-axis, so what I'm going to do, I'll write -3, comma, y-axis is 0, z-axis is 0. Okay. Then next I'm going to write for my E6. So for my E6, how it I'm going to denote it, I have to write here. I'll just remove this and I'm going to write here. You can see E6, it has come down. So it is in the opposite direction, but it is in the y-axis. So that's the reason x value will be 0 and y value will be -3, z value will be 0. So now I got these values. Okay. So what is the formula we know? Always we have to calculate in the way of in xy plane, and I have to take the form of ej into ek, sorry, into e k value. Okay. And so this is my formula, and this j will be in your denominator. So this one is going to be like this. Okay. I have to find out this value. What is the value of this? What is the formula? You have seen in my slide, I have written already the formula here. Okay. So this is my formula. I'll just copy and paste over there, so that I'm just going to use this. Okay. So I'll just increase the font size. Okay, fine. So you can see now. Now we are going to use this. Okay. So how I'm going to use it, you can see the diagram again, and we are going to write it. Fine. So I'll just take the first one as I have to do the cross product of my E1 and E2. I'll write down E1. This is my multiplication. E2. So this one I have to write in this way, E1 and E2. What will be? So I have to, how I'm going to do it. You are going to find this value by putting this formula, okay? And from here, and you remember, you are going to do the cross multiplications like this and like this, okay? So that you are going to remember. So now you see here, E1 and E2. So according to the formula, 1 into 1, I'm just writing it here, 1 into 1, I'm sorry, 1 into 1, it's becoming small size, yes, 1 into 1 minus 1 into 0. Okay, so now what will be my value of this? 1 into 1 is 1 minus 1 into 0 is 0. 0. So now the value will be 1. As the value is 1, what will be the coordinate values now? For this E1 and E2, the coordinate value will be, value is equals to u. 1 minute. Okay, value is equals to, see, this one we have counted in x1 y plane. So this is the value of my z. So x and y value will be 0 comma 0 comma 1. So this is my coordinate values of this edge vector. Okay, so in this way we are going to calculate. Now let me calculate the next one, e2 and e3. I'll just write down e2 into E3. Okay, so now how I'm going to do it now? This one, you have to see the E2 and E3 and do the cross multiplication. Okay, so now E2 and E3. So 1 into -1 cross multiplication. 1 into -1 is -1. Okay, then I have to give the minus. Then I have to write 1 into 1 is 1. So how much the value I got here? I got the value as -2. Okay, so what will be my coordinate value of this? Coordinate value will be inside the bracket. You have to write 0 comma 0 comma -2. It's negative. Let's calculate the next one. Okay, next one is my e3 comma e3 into e4. E3 then into E4. Okay, I'll just give you equal sign. So I'm just going to write it in this way. so that you can understand it. E3 into E4 equal to, okay, now you see everywhere you have to do cross multiplication, okay, that you don't forget. So now E3 into E4, so now 1 into 3, so 3 minus 1 into 0, so 0. I'm just writing 0. So what is the answer I got? 3. So what is my coordinate value I got here? I have got 0. What is the coordinate value I got? I got 0, comma 0, comma 3. Okay. So now let's come and do for the E4 into E5. E4 into E5. Okay, equal sign. E4 and E5, what is the value now? We'll see and do the cross multiplication. It's very easy to remember also these values. E4 into E5 is 0 into 0 is 0, minus, then 3 into minus 3 is minus 9. So let me keep it in the bracket, minus 9 equal to 0, minus into minus plus. So the value will be 9. Okay. What's the coordinate value you got for this? You got for this as 0, comma 0, comma 9. Okay. Now next, E5 into E6. So now what is the value of your E5 and E6? I'm just going it to write the cross multiplication of E5 into E6. Minus 3 into minus 3, it will be minus 9, minus 0 into 0 is 0. So what's the value I got now? Minus 9 minus 0, it will be minus 9. Okay. Sorry, minus 3 into minus 3, it is plus. So it is a plus 9. So 9 minus 0 is 9. The value you got 9. Okay. So now what is the coordinate values of E5 and E6? You got the coordinate values as 0, comma 0, comma 9. Okay. The last one we are going to do it for the E6 into E1. E6 into E1. So I'll just give you equal sign. So E6 into E1. Okay. So now E6 into E1, in the sense you can see the values. I'll just write down here also again so that it will be easy for me to calculate. I'll just keep it and then I'll delete it just for the calculations. E6 into E1, 0 into 0, it will be 0, minus 3 into 1, minus 3. So in the bracket, I'll write minus 3. So minus into minus plus, answer will be 3. So what is my coordinate values? This one I have written wrong. This is coordinate values. I have written wrong. C dot B. Okay. Here also this is C dot B. Coordinate values. Okay. Everywhere that is C dot B now. Okay. Yeah, fine. So here what is the coordinate value I got? My coordinate value will be now 0, comma 0, comma 3. So now I got everywhere positive value, only one negative value, E2 into E3. As I got here the negative value, okay, that is the reason I have to extend it here. I have to touch it here and I have to make this, I have to make it as my concave to convex. So you can see this part it became concave and this part it became convex. This concave total polygon, it became two convex polygon. Okay, I hope you have understood this. Fine. Now this is one more question. There will be many variety questions where you have to explain all these things in a very detail and in a theoretical way. Okay, so now in this question you can see splitting a concave polygon. Okay, so you can see here I have x-axis, I have y-axis, and I have some vertex points. So now how I'm going to do the splitting things? So here if you want to do the splitting, first you have one algorithm which you are going to follow it up. So how the algorithm is going to work? first you have to shift each of the vertex point, that is vk, towards your origin. Okay, so what happened here? First you are going to shift all the vertex towards your origin. So here you can see, 1 minute, yes. So here you can see, suppose my polygon is here from v1 to here. So you are just going to shift this vertex point towards your origin, and if this is your vertex point, you are going to shift towards your origin. Can you see here? So now what you can do is, if you will connect, it will, this blue color line you can see, and it will be a like a concave polygon. Okay, so you are going to shift, that is your first step. What is the second step? In the second step, you have to rotate. What you are going to rotate? You have to rotate your next vertex point, okay, towards your x-axis. So now, whatever my vertex point will be there, and wherever I am, I'm going for the next vertex, that will be vk plus 1, and I have to rotate it on my x-axis. That is my second point. In the third point, the next vertex point of your previous vertex point, that will be vk plus 2, will be below your x-axis split. Okay, so you can see here that that became your below to this x-axis plane. So this is just one example where you are going to use this algorithm and you are going to split it. So you have to write the answer in a very theoretical way. Now here one more thing, which is known as your inside or outside polygon. Okay, so now I have one kind of your convex polygon. Here I have to check that the C point is inside or outside of a convex. Just let's consider that this C is in my xy plane. Okay, so if it is my xy plane, then what will happen? So here you can see it is in my xy plane. Now here you see, so the point C is inside. Okay, so now I have to take the 2 points name. So let's take the first point name is pi, then the next vertex point name will be incremented, so it will be pi plus 1. Then you have to find out that from your send point C, it is connecting to all the vertex point or not. If it connects to all the vertex point, then it means that C is inside the polygon. Okay, now you can see here in one another image, the C is in outside. How in the algorithm we can prove that the C is in outside? So we have to touch to the each of the vertex point. So now what I'm going to do here, while reaching out all the vertex point, you can see it has formed one kind of your circle. In this way it's going to connect, and wherever the starting point was there, it's going to end over there. But here you can see it can connect to your pi, it can connect to your pi plus 1, it can connect to here, and also if possible it can connect to here and here also, right? But the thing is that here it won't make it as a circle. As it cannot make it as a circle, it means that the C is in outside. So if the C is in outside, if you want to find the values, you have this formula. Okay, well, this is a formula which you can use. So now here we have one more rule is there, which is known as your odd even rule. So this question also comes. So how you have to write similarly, you have, this is just a 4 or 5 marks of question. You have to explain it in your words. Okay. So here how you are going to explain it. So what is your odd and even rule? Let's see. So first thing is, this is a polygon and the C point is inside, and what you're going to do, if the number of crossings with the boundary is odd, here you can see it has been crossed only once, right? Here you see in this image it has been crossed first point to this edge, second to this edge, third this to edge. Now here you see this is crossing for this one and this one. So now if the number of crossing with a boundary is odd number, so here you can find the odd number. This is 1, it is a odd number, it means the C is inside. Okay, now you see here it is a odd number, 1 2 3, 3 is a odd number, it means C is inside. Now you see here 1 2, so now 2 is a even number, it means C is outside. Okay, outside of the region, because this part, the blue color shaded part, is the inside. But now here you can see the point is here, C point, that is in the outside of the region. So in this way, you are going to find out the polygon is inside or outside. The point is inside the polygon or in the outside of the polygon. I have an example here, okay, where we are going to find out the interior and exterior points. So this is my odd even rule. This is my non-zero winding number rule. So here you can see if anything will be in this part or in this part, that will be my exterior point, okay. But if something will be inside this and this, then it will be your interior part. So you can check by placing your points, okay, and just place a point here and check it out crossing the lines. If it is coming your negative odd or even numbers, vertex numbers, then you can say the point is interior or exterior, okay. Here also similarly, this is one more thing where we have to give the directions through where we are going, we are moving. You can see from here A to B I came, B to C, C to D, D to E, F, then G, then again go back to A, right? So here the directions will be there. Wherever you are going to get the directions, you have to name it as your non-zero winding number rule. So that is different from your odd even rule, because in your odd even rule you don't have the directions, but in your winding number rule you have the directions, okay. But the concept, everything will be same. Here you can see as it is not shaded, so it is going to be a exterior, you can check it out. But here it will be a interior part, because in this way the arrow mark you have to see through which it has gone. So if it has been covered that area, it means it is the interior part, okay. The point is inside the interior. So this is about your how you are going to finding out the point is inside or outside of the polygon. So you can get 1, 4 or 5 marks of question. Just write that kind of explanations, you will get the marks. Now here you can see I have some storage polygons, okay. So let's take the example of your mesh. If any of the polygons I will take, I should have the vertices, edge and face. Here what we are going to do is we have to calculate how many vertices, how many edges and how many faces are there. Fine. So here you can see if I have this kind of polygon, first I will name it. So I'm going to name it as my vertex 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So here I have 5 vertices. How many edges I have? Here E1, E2, E3, here inside E4, E5, E6. Okay, so 6 edges are there. So how many faces are there? This is one face, this is second face. So F1, F2. How you are going to write it? Because you are going to get one more small question of 4 or 5 marks to find out all the vertices name and the edge and the face name. So you can see here what you are going to do, how you are going to perform the operations. First you have to draw all the edge, then you are going to draw all the face, then you are going to move all the vertices. Once it will be done, you are going to determine your orientations. Okay, so here you can see one more storage polygons where we have the simple polygons and we have some face. How you are going to write it? Now we will see in the per vertex coordinates how we are going to write all the vertex point. Okay, now I'll just write down F1. F1 is nothing but my face. So for my face, this part, how many vertex point I have used? I have used 3 vertex point. So V1, V2, V3. You have to write like this. F1 colon, then V1, V2, V3. Okay. For your second part or second phase, F2, you have to write F2 colon. How many vertex point you have used? V1, V3, V4, V5, and just separate it by your comma. So that is known as your per vertex coordinates. You are going to notify in this way. Okay. Now again, one more thing is also there in another way of writing. Once you have written your phase values, next you have to write your vertex. Okay. So for your first vertex, how many coordinates you want? You want 2D or 3D coordinate values. So if you want 2D coordinate values, you can write x1, y1. If you want 3 coordinate values, you can write x1, y1, z1. So here you are going to write in this way. So v1 will be colon, x1 comma y1 comma z1, v2 x2 comma y2 comma z2. All these things you are going to continue in this way. Okay, so here phase also you have to write v1 v2 v3. Don't write 1 2 3. This is just to tell you that one more way of writing. But if you will write as v1 v2 v3, that will be more efficient. And for f2 you can write v1 comma v3 comma v4 and v5. Okay, this is the one more polygon. Now we will see how we are going to write the edges. So now here we have how many faces? So now again the face we will write, the edge we will write, and the vertices also we will write. Vertices you know how to write. It is very simple way of writing. Okay, but the face how we are going to write? First face we will write. So v1 v2 v3, and for f2 v1 v3 v4 v5. Okay, so now we don't have v6 here. Okay, so we are not going to write. If you have vertex 6 you can write. Why here they have written what 6 here? Because it's going to connect as your what edges. That's the reason it has been written, but it will be having the null values. Edges here, how the edges e1 is connected in between v1 and v2, so you are going to write v1 comma v2. For your e2 it will be v2 comma v3. For your e3 it will be your v1 comma v3, or else you can write v3 comma v1. If any arrow mark will be there, accordingly you are going to write. If there will be no arrow mark, then you can write. Similarly, you have to write all the edges, okay, E1 to E6, and all the vertex points V1 to V6. So if you are going to write only this much, you can get 4 out of 4 marks. Okay. Here one more thing you see, you have to write the neighboring face for your vertex. Okay. So here the face value will be there, faces, and the vertex values will be there. You have to write the neighbor faces. Okay. For your vertex 1, so your vertex 1 is here. Who all are will be your neighbor faces? It can be for your f1, it can be for your f2. You can write f1, f2 instead of writing 1 comma 2. For your v2, which one is your neighboring face? Only f1. For your v3, it will be f1 and f2. For your v4, it will be f2. For your v5, it will be f2. V6, it is not there because it is a null value, so we are not going to write it. So this one also you have to remember how to write the neighboring faces. Okay, so how one more thing also here it is there. We can have one more concept, but it is not there in your syllabus. That is Wind's edge data structure. Okay, but as it is not there this format, so we are not going to be very detailed into that. So one more storage format is there, how you are going to select and design all the storage format. Here it will be having your operations on your elements so that it can have the efficiency on size and operations. You can maintain it, you can have a consistency into that, and you can make it as very simpler. Okay, so these all are some storage polygons where we have some formats how to select and how to design the storage. Okay, next class we are going to see the polygon tables, how we are going to write the polygon tables. No, I will just complete this polygon table also now. It is very easy. So these polygon tables you have to write by using your surface face and your objects, your vertex points and your edge points. Okay, you have to make one geometric data table. Whatever you have generated from here, all these things from here, you have to present one geometric data table. Okay, what is the name of that? The name is you are going to prepare one geometric data table where it will be having your vertex table. Okay, and it will be having your edge table, and it will be having your surface face table. Okay, these three things it's going to contain. So in your vertex table you are going to have all the values of each vertex, and in your edge table it will be pointing towards your edge, each edge whatever is present in your polygon. And in your surface face table, all the edge table defining your all the edges and all the face, how it's going to be look into that. So that part is going to give you. And one more also will be there, that is known as your attribute data table. Okay, so attribute data table, in the sense, what you are going to do here, you have to keep the degree of your transparency and your surface reflectivity and your texture, all the characteristics, you are going to keep it inside the attribute data tables. Okay, so remember, we have the polygon tables, which consist of geometric data tables and the attribute data tables. And under your geometric data tables, you have to do vertex table, edge table, and the face table. But on inside your attribute data table, it will keep only the characteristic of the transparency, reflectivity, and the textures. So this much of point you have to remember. Now let's see. 1 minute. Yeah. So now this is one kind of my diagram is there. So I told you we have to make the geometric data table. So I have the vertex table. How many vertex are there? I have notified here, and I have written all the vertex tables, the coordinate values. Next, I have to make the edge table. I have written all the edges following by the colons. Then which vertex it has been joined, that I have written over here. Next, I have written the surface face table, which is having the surface values S1 and S2, and which all are the edges it has been connected, that I have written. Instead of vertex point, here I have written the edges. Okay. What about your expanded edge table? I have told you that expanded edge table also we can be having your vertex point and also your surface. So E1, you can see for your E1, it can have your V1, V2, and also S1. Here what you have written, only V1 and V2, but expanded data table can be V1, V2, and the surface name, that is your S1. Here only the joining of your surface will be written. Okay, this is known as your expanded edge table. So till here I will be winding up, and you are going to practice this kind of diagrams, and you have to write, because in your question paper you may get this kind of question. Okay, and they will be asking you to write the tables, so that time you have to prepare the table in this way. Hope you people have understood this. If you have any doubts, you let me know. I'll just clarify all your doubts. Thank you.